Welcome to this session on the School Meals Program requirements. We will go over other important topics that you need to be aware of to make sure your program is in compliance with USDA guidelines. I'm Michelle Stevens, a program consultant for the School Meals Program. Here are the other important topics. As you can see, the list is quite long. As the food service director or manager, you need to be aware of these requirements, but some of these responsibilities are shared with different staff members in the school. This training provides basic information about each area. Additional information can be obtained by clicking on the resource links for each topic that is provided with this training. The web page links are provided on some of the slides, but the links can't be clicked on as a video file, so use the links from the resource list. The first topic we'll begin with is civil rights. Schools are responsible to make sure the correct USDA non-discrimination statement is included in all program materials that describe the school meal program. So, for example, the student handbook typically has a section that covers the school meal program. So the full non-discrimination statement should be listed at the end of this section. If schools have a website and they provide information about the school meal program, the statement should be posted there as well. You can find the full non-discrimination statement in the Civil Rights Summary handout available on our website. The USDA Civil Rights and Justice for All poster must be displayed in a location visible to all in the lunchroom. If your school provides meals in other locations, the poster could also be displayed in a common area of the school. USDA updates the posters, and they are now green instead of blue. Our office decided that we would deliver the new posters when we are visiting schools. So it is okay to have the blue poster. However, if you don't have any poster, please contact our office and a copy will be mailed to you. The correct size of the poster is 11 by 17. That should be on display. Schools and residential child care institutes that participate in our program are required to provide annual training to all staff that work with the school meals program. The documentation of this training must be kept on file, so this would include the authorized representative, whoever completes the claim for reimbursement, all the school food service staff, and civil rights training resources can be found on our website also. The next topic is special diets. The Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, made important changes to the meaning and interpretation of the term disability. With the passage of this Amendments Act, the definition was expanded to include anything that affects a major life activity. So most physical and mental impairments will now constitute a disability. It's important to ensure that children with disabilities have an equal opportunity to participate in the school meals program. School food service staff must work with the households to best meet the nutritional needs of the students. Therefore, it is important that they are aware of the procedures for handling dietary requests. What does this mean for schools? More children may be identified with food-related disabilities. There will be more required meal accommodations. It's important to keep food labels current and on file for reference. Households must be informed of the process and procedures for requesting student meal accommodations. If a meal modification for a child's disability can be made within the program meal pattern, a medical statement is not necessary. A request form must be completed by the student or household. A meal accommodation form is available on our website. However, a signed note from a parent is also acceptable. An example of a meal modification request is a parent requesting the school provide lactose-free milk as a choice for the student. Lactose-free milk is a creditable substitution that can be easily provided, so that is a reasonable accommodation request. What if a student requires an accommodation outside of meal pattern requirements? This requires a request form completed by the student or household and signed by a licensed health care professional. A medical statement form can be found on our website. However, an official medical note is also allowed. Both meal accommodation and medical statement forms can be found on our Special Diets webpage. In the case of a meal accommodation request based on a lifestyle choice, the School Food Authority is not required to make changes for that student. However, USDA strongly encourages schools to consider offering menu options within meal pattern to accommodate the request. If a variety of foods are routinely offered, offer versus serve will allow the student to make choices to meet their needs. Examples of this type of meal accommodation request include food preferences for religious, ethnic, or moral reasons. Here is the link to our Special Diets webpage, where you will find the meal accommodation forms, a video regarding meal modifications in the school meals program, a list of allowable milk substitutions, and questions and answers about the special diet situations. There is a USDA guidance manual called 2017 edition of Accommodating Children with Disabilities in the School Meals Program. This guidance is easy to read and provides all the information you need to know about special diets. All schools and residential facilities are required to have an updated wellness policy that includes USDA's required elements. Its purpose is to establish a healthy school environment. Every school has a wellness contact, and they should have a copy of the policy and are responsible for implementation. Assessment of the policy must occur at least once every 3 years. The original due date for this assessment for all schools was June 30th, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the USDA issued a waiver giving schools the flexibility to extend the school wellness policy assessment deadline by 1 year. Schools may accept the new deadline and complete their first assessment by June 30th, 2021. Your policy must be made accessible to the public. One of the easiest ways to do this is to post the policy on the school website. These are USDA's required elements to include in the wellness policy: public involvement, nutrition guidelines, nutrition education, nutrition promotion, physical activity, public notification, and monitoring and evaluation. Here's the link to our Wellness Policy webpage, where you will find lots of resources for creating a healthy school environment. Our project coordinator is Jessie Coffey, and she can assist you regarding these resources. Nebraska's competitive food policy is a state regulation that identifies when foods can be sold during the school day by a program or a club other than the school nutrition program. No food or beverages can be sold to children anywhere on school premises from 1/2 hour before meal service until 1/2 hour after meal service, unless the proceeds during this time go to the school nutrition program. This applies to both breakfast and lunch meal service times. So if your school has any vending machines and the profits do not go to the school food service account, the machines should have timers and be turned off 1/2 hour before and after both meal services. Reimbursement can be withheld from schools in violation of this policy. The Smart Snacks in School is a USDA regulation that specifies what foods and beverages can be sold during the school day. There are many resources available to help you with this guidance. We have provided the Smart Snacks Decision Chart and Smart Snack Beverage Guide along with this training, and there are additional links to the resources on our website. So if your school has a vending machine any items sold during the allowable times would need to meet the Smart Snack Nutrition Guidelines. To help clarify the information regarding smart snacks in the next few slides, we need to first define some terms to help you better understand the guidance. School campus refers to all property under the jurisdiction of the school that are accessible to the students during the school day. So a common question asked here, does this include the teacher's lounge? The answer is no. This is not a common area available to students. And school day refers to the period of time from midnight the night before until 30 minutes after the end of the school day. What this means is there is no guidelines for what is sold at the school events in the evening. Smart Snack standards apply to all foods and beverages sold on the school campus during the school day. From these sources: vending machines, fundraising during school, school stores, a la carte, and snack carts. We'll go through some more common examples regarding vending and fundraisers, but a la cartes are the items you are selling during the meal service times. There is additional guidance regarding entree items sold as seconds, the day of meal service, or the next day. These items do not need to follow the nutrition guidelines since you served them as the main entree. Smart Snack standards do not apply to food and beverages sold during weekend activities, to food items given away, or during evening events at the school. So if a staff member buys a treat for their class, this would be allowable, since the students are not purchasing the items. The staff member should consider keeping in line with the school wellness goals and the timing of meal service. There are lots of resource ideas for other rewards for students on our webpage under School Wellness. Lots of schools have concession stands during the evening, and there are no state or federal guidelines to follow outside the school day, but some schools still promote healthy options to keep in line with their school wellness goals. Beverages allowed under the Smart Snack Guidelines differ in type and size based on the grade group. For students in grades K through 8, you may sell them milk, 100% juice, and water only. For students in high school, grades 9 through 12, the same 3 items are allowed, and in addition, high school students can purchase diet and/or low-calorie drinks. Keep in mind that if all grades have access, the most restrictive guidelines must be followed. If your school is a K through 12 building, there are creative ways to sell beverages to students and still be in compliance. I have seen reach-in coolers marked by grade group, and the point-of-service cashier can sell allowable items to the correct grade groups. Vending machines can be programmed to sell certain items to students based on their grade. A student ID is then required, a student number. Also, vending machines can be programmed to allow certain rows of beverages to be sold until after school. The Smart Snack Beverage Guide provides a chart showing the requirements by grade group and type of beverage allowed. This is an example of what the beverage guide looks like. You can see the size and type of drinks allowed for each grade group. Here are some questions that should be asked to determine if the requirements of both the Nebraska Competitive Food Policy and Smart Snack standards are being met. The answers can help you determine if the items in the machine are Smart Snack compliant. What grade groups of students have access to the beverage machine? Where do the profits from the sales go? To the food service account or to a school club or organization? Is the machine on or off during the school day? So in summary, if the foods are sold during the day, they must be Smart Snack compliant. If the profits do not go to the school food service account, they can't be sold during meal service times. If the profits all go to the school food service account, they can be sold any time but need to meet the Smart Snack guidelines. USDA has guidance regarding school fundraisers during school. However, the regulation does not apply to items sold during non-school hours, on weekends, or during off-campus events. Food items that meet the Smart Snack guidelines may be sold during the school day, but cannot be sold in competition with the school food service meal. If students can consume the item right away, it must be in compliance with state and federal guidelines. Sometimes organizations sell things like frozen pizza or cookie dough. These items are typically distributed at the end of the day to take home, so they do not have to meet Smart Snack standards. Nebraska does not allow any exemptions from this requirement. Documentation for Smart Snacks is required. Even though you may not be responsible for different areas in your school that sell items, you should inform the staff members of these requirements and work together to make sure your school is in compliance. So what do you need on file to demonstrate compliance? Labels must be on file for all products. So if you sell a la carte items in addition to seconds, you should have a folder with these labels. If you have a school store or vending machines, there should be documentation made, maybe a notebook, with the information and labels demonstrating compliance. Some vendors provide lists to show which items meet these guidelines, since this is a national program. The other information that is important for your food service account is to demonstrate that you are covering the cost of these items since they are non-program foods, meaning they're not part of the reimbursable meal. Documentation to do this would include the pricing information for all items sold, including both food costs and selling price. The Alliance for Healthier Generation has a Smart Snack product calculator on their website. This makes it easy to look up products to see if they meet the standards. They also have a list of items that qualify. The tool is easy to use and provides the documentation you need to show you're in compliance. You simply click on the calculator link and it will ask you a few questions about your product. You will need the nutrition facts label of the item so you can enter the information required. The calculator will then tell you if the product is Smart Snack compliant. Now let's talk a bit about professional standards. Since 2015, USDA has required a minimum amount of annual training hours for all school nutrition program directors, managers, and staff. The number of annual training hours and the training topics vary according to position and job requirements. Documentation of individual hours earned must be on file. Hours are documented by the school year, which begins July 1st and ends June 30th. Carryover of excess training hours from the previous year is allowed. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, training hours earned in excess of annual requirement may be applied to the school year directly preceding or directly following the date of the training. Therefore, if the number of training hours you earned in school year 1920 did not meet the requirement due to the pandemic, extra hours earned in school year 2021 can be used to make up the difference. There are also minimum hiring standards for new state directors of school nutrition programs, state directors of distributing agencies that oversee USD Foods, and school nutrition program directors. Our Professional Standards Training Requirements and Online Resources handout is provided with this training and also available on our website. Non-program foods are defined as any non-reimbursable foods and beverages purchased using funds from the nonprofit food service account. These may include, but not limited to, food purchased for second entrees, milk and any other extra items, and adult meals. A la carte prices should cover food costs and labor costs associated with each item, as well as a fair profit. You could compare prices of similar items sold locally and consider setting school prices slightly lower. To set your prices for entree seconds, you could look at the cost of your most expensive entree and set your second's price based on recovering the cost of that item. To encourage students to make healthier selections, you can deliberately price items such as fruit and bottled water lower. Keep your non-program food calculations on file. This is an area we review during an administrative review of the program. For adult meals, USDA requires schools to ensure that reimbursement, student payments, and the value of donated foods are not used to subsidize meals served to adults. The Setting Meal Price Handout is a resource that explains how to determine what your meal prices should be for paid students, for second entrees, a la carte items, and for adult meals. This handout is available on our website. Paid lunch equity is a provision required by USDA to ensure the same level of financial support is obtained from the paid student meals as it is from the reimbursement for the free and reduced meals funded by USDA. Basically, this is saying the revenue schools are receiving is equitable when comparing free, reduced, and paid income. The provision helps to ensure schools are not charging less for school meals than it costs to produce the meal. Federal funds intended for free and reduced price meals are not subsidizing the paid student meals, and schools have funding available to support serving nutritious meals to all students. The Paid Lunch Equity tool must be completed annually by all schools to report their most frequently charged paid student lunch prices at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. The PLE tool helps schools determine their paid lunch prices for the following school year. I recommend schools to create a folder for PLE to keep this documentation handy. The numbers from the previous school year are needed to complete the tool each year. USDA issued a waiver regarding raisin prices for any school with a positive or zero balance in its nonprofit school food service account as of December 31st, 2019. This means if the PLE tool shows you need to raise your prices, but the school board does not want to, you may waive this requirement as long as the school food service account had a positive balance. Here is the link to our Paid Lunch Equity webpage, where you will find a copy of the PLE tool and policy memo related to PLE. All schools that participate in the school meals program must have a local charge policy. The local charge policy outlines the school's procedures for handling students' unpaid meal charges. The policy must be in writing and clearly communicated to parents, administrators, and staff. To ensure everyone has access to this policy, it should be included in the student's handbook and posted on the school's website. It must also be included with the free and reduced meal application in the Back to the School packet sent to households at the beginning of the school year. USDA has lots of resources on their webpage regarding unpaid meal charges. Here's the link to their webpage. The next topic to discuss is purchasing and procurement. Purchasing is the simple act of obtaining goods and services in exchange for money. Procurement is a multi-step, systematic approach to acquiring goods, supplies, and services at the best prices. Since the school meal program receives federal and state funding, the school must follow the federal procurement regulations. School food authorities must be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Procurement is important to a well-run school nutrition program. It is the act of obtaining goods or services in exchange for money or value. Free and open competition means that everyone has the same opportunity to compete for your business. If the playing field is level, vendor participation is encouraged. Procurement is a multi-step process that will allow you to obtain your purchases at the best possible price. Better quality products and services result. The procurement method is determined after you decide what products and services you will need for the year. One thing you need to be aware of is, what is your school's local small purchase threshold? If the school food authority does not have one, the state and federal threshold can be used, which is $250,000 for federal and state. When the value of the purchase is estimated to be less than or equal to $250,000, informal methods including micro-purchase and small purchase may be followed. Any purchases greater than $250,000, the formal procedures including sealed bids, IFBs, and competitive proposals, RFPs, must be used. So let's review the multi-step process. Planning can be done by looking at items like prior year's menus, inventory, storage capacity, etc. You can request purchasing history from your vendors, which may be helpful to determine your purchasing needs for the year. After you know what you're going to need, the next step is to select the right procurement method. Writing specifications, informing vendors of your intent to buy. This allows you to make sure you get the products you requested. Advertise and identify your vendor sources. If you plan to buy from local producers, you need to advertise your intent. This could be posted on your school website. There are multiple food service suppliers, so you need to do some comparing in order to select the best qualified vendor. And finally, you need to make sure that you get the products and services that you agreed on. Nutrition Services is required to conduct procurement reviews a minimum of once every 6 years. These may be done as part of the administrative review or at a different time. They can be conducted on-site or as a desk review off-site. We will ask to review your procurement plan and code of conduct. We will also review purchasing documentation, including how you compare prices, select your vendor, and review invoices to make sure all items are allowable to the school food service account. I recommend you keep documentation on file. This can be by paper or email or digitally. USDA has a resource guide for procuring local foods for child nutrition programs. Here is the link to the guide on our webpage. All food procurement transactions using funds from the nonprofit food service must comply with the Buy American provision. Here is the link to the fact sheet summarizing these requirements. USDA issued Policy Memorandum SP 38-2017. This guidance provides updated information including suggested contract language to be utilized in solicitation and serves to reinforce the importance of the Buy American provision to our economy and its positive effects on small and local businesses. There are 2 limited exceptions when non-domestic foods may be purchased. These exceptions are determined by the school food authority. The food or the food product is not produced or manufactured in the U.S. in sufficient and reasonable available quantities of a satisfactory quality, or competitive bids reveal the cost of the U.S. product is significantly higher than the non-domestic product. You must keep documentation justifying the use of any exceptions. price, availability, or domestic alternative substitutes. Shh! Don't tell secrets in the garden. The potatoes have eyes, the corn has ears, and the beans talk. Now I would like to share with you information about Farm to School in Nebraska and all the resources that are available to you. The next few slides will provide a brief description of the different Farm to School promotions available for your school meal program. Sarah Smith is our Farm to School coordinator. Feel free to contact her to learn more about the different programs. Here is a link to the Farm to School web resources. The Nebraska Department of Education, Office of Nutrition Services, leads efforts with several partners in the state and nationally to advance farm to school. These partnerships support and expand local food procurement, school garden programs, and hands-on nutrition and agricultural education. Take a step forward with Farm to School by participating in Nebraska Thursdays. Nebraska Thursdays celebrates local foods on the plate the first Thursday of each month. Sourcing and celebrating Nebraska products encourages fresh, local, and healthy meals in the school cafeteria, educates students about Nebraska agriculture, and boosts our local economy. Register today using the link on Nutrition Services website. After you participate in a 15-minute webinar, you will receive a CEU certificate and be eligible to request free promotional items from the website. Once registered, you will maintain registration by completing an end-of-the-year survey at the completion of each school year. Participation in Nebraska Thursdays will provide you with exclusive access to Nebraska Thursday's website, where you'll find school success stories, a recipe portal that features local Nebraska products, and downloadable resources and many free promotional items. Harvest of the Month highlights a different Nebraska specialty crop each month, and this year we are adding carrots and apples to the list of featured products. This program promotes local sourcing of fruits and vegetables and provides schools with resources to support sampling and serving local foods to students. Schools that participate have access to posters, promotional materials, and recipes that engage in both the cafeteria and the classroom. A limited number of free toolkits, which includes 10 beautiful 8x24 posters, wearable stickers, and trivia cards, will be shipped to the school that request access to the Harvest of the Month portal on our website. Sign up and receive yours today. We invite you to join us in defending Nebraska's 2019 Crunch-Off Championship title. October 22nd, 2020 is the day to crunch in Nebraska, or any day in October that will work for your school. Nebraska is competing with 8 states in the Mountain Plains region to earn the most local food crunches per capita. Crunch into any local produce like apples, carrots, or even salad turnips. The registration link is open through October 31st, and additional Crunch-Off resources are available on Nutrition Services Farm to School web pages. Register and be counted. National Farm to School Network provides resources for schools, early care and education sites, farms, communities, and organizations across the country to celebrate food education. School gardens and lunch trays filled with healthy local ingredients. There are several easy ways to get involved. See their websites at farmtoschool.org for a Farm to School Month celebration toolkit, along with fact sheets, posters, logo designs, and so much more. October is a good time to be involved in any of Nebraska's Farm to School programs. Form a team to set Farm to School goals for the month or even for the school year. You may be able to highlight a local farm and use their local product for Nebraska Thursday celebration, or a taste test as part of the Harvest of the Month, or while doing a school-wide community-wide Crunch-Off event. There are also many resources offered by Nebraska Farm to School partners. you'll find a local food guide on the Buy Fresh, Buy Local website. Archive food chat recordings on the Nebraska Extension website, intended to connect Nebraska producers with current best practices and networks. The Center for Rural Affairs website provides a greenhouse to cafeteria toolkit, among other resources. The Nebraska Beef Council can inspire you with standardized beef recipes designed for schools. The Nebraska Dry Bean Commission has provided funds for mini grants to Nebraska Thursday schools and does hands-on culinary skill trainings for school food service staff. Midwest Dairy provides curriculum and virtual farm tours. Don't hesitate to connect with our Nebraska partners. Stay tuned! The USDA Farm to School grant application for fiscal year 2021 will open in the fall of 2020. NDE, in partnership with the Nebraska Extension, received a fiscal year 2020 USDA Farm to School grant to offer a 2021 Nebraska Farm to School Institute for up to 8 competitively chosen school teams. These teams will develop farm-to-school action plans, network and grow an understanding of farm-to-school topics, and will receive mini-grants to use toward their projects. Are you interested in the Institute? Consider who you would bring on board for your local farm-to-school team. Teachers, students, parents, administrators, extension educators, and other community partners can all contribute to your local farm-to-school goals. More information to come. If we can assist you in any of your farm-to-school goals and planning, please don't hesitate to reach out by calling Nutrition Services office or by emailing nde.f2s@nebraska.gov. This session covered lots of topics related to operating a successful food service program. For additional information, visit Nutrition Services website to access forms, resources, and more online training. Nutrition Service staff can be reached at our toll-free number, 800-731-2233. Or on our website, you may find the information for each staff member in our office. Click on Contact Us to see the individual staff names, phone numbers, and email addresses. We are available to answer any questions you have or provide one-on-one support for you and your school meals program. Thank you for viewing the School Meals Program Requirements Training.